So I'm worried that the federal government's contacting me because of YouTube. And I actually think it all starts with the prepping channels. So let me explain what happened here. Well, first of all, I'm sure you're going to see the mess. I've only covered it in one video. We've started the destruction of the camper, and we've made quite a bit of progress on it. I mean, I literally come out here for 10 minutes at a time with the Sawzall, and I knock it down. And Carolyn wants to save the 2x2, so we're breaking those apart. That's why I got it in big stacks. Otherwise, I just take over and dump it in the dumpster or something. As you know, this summer I spent a massive amount of time working on the solar panels. When we got here, I think we only had 8 solar panels and 1 charge controller. Well, I just never focused that hard on it. I really didn't care. I just needed enough electric to get the batteries charged up, and then I'd run the generator. You may know that I was a nomad, and when we were traveling, I had the same exact setup, which I'm going to show you here in a minute, as I have now, minus the solar panels. I had the batteries and the inverter, but I just used a generator to charge the batteries 2 times a day for 4 hours each. So it really didn't take a lot of modification when we got here to upgrade to the solar panels. Now remember, we were in the truck camper, and when we moved here, I just dropped the truck camper down on the ground, hooked the solar panels up to the truck camper, and we transitioned from the generator to the solar panels. But I really didn't focus on them. And I knew, at least I felt like I knew, that we should be doing better. So I was running the generator quite a bit. Well, then that summer it got pretty hot here, sitting in this barely insulated camper. So we got an air conditioner, a little window air conditioner. As a matter of fact, we moved it up to the big camper. And for those that don't know, we bought this camper this last early spring so Carolyn's son could stay in it. And we put the air conditioner in it for him while we stayed in the tiny house that I built. So I built a tiny house during that first year here. Again, not really focused on the solar panels. We were getting by. I know a lot of commenters thought we should be doing better, but it ran the freezer for most part. And on cloudy days, I'd run the generator, and we were still doing a lot better than we were when we were nomads. So at the time, I had 1 generator. I had a 2,000 watt inverter generator. I still got it. I've tore it apart. It had about 8,000 hours on it. Small engine like that should only last about 900 hours. When it died this last spring, we got another generator. Well, I guess I should back up. We got that dual fuel generator a couple years ago just to have around, and I ended up using it just to run the well. And then when that one died, that 2,000 watt, I went ahead and got this one. It's a little 1,500 watt. It's not great. It's not like the Champion. And a lot of people say, well, you need to get a Honda. Champion, in my opinion, is just as good as a Honda, and it's $500 cheaper. But this one's a little bit louder, but it uses a lot less gas. Well, I don't know if it's a lot less gas, but it uses less gas. Maybe at most, I'm running it maybe an hour a week now because I've upgraded the solar panels. But so after that first year, we got the house built and we got it all tweaked up and we got it perfect. And then we started into gardening and raising chickens. Now, we don't garden anymore. We're just carnivores. So we just started raising chickens and getting pretty good at that. We were able to incubate chickens. We've had very little loss. We had a dog attack. I mean, I guess we have had losses, but they were survivable. And that was my goal, was being able to survive a catastrophic event with the chickens. So last November, it was Thanksgiving, we lost 9 chickens to a dog attack. Subscribers on YouTube wanted me to put windows here, and the dog was able to rip those windows off. So I went ahead and put metal back over it, and they shouldn't be able to get in. But we had 2 sets of chickens. We had chickens in this IBC tank, which has a hole cut in it, and it's got roosts. You can see that we put a roost here. Got 2 of them, one there and there. Just drilled a hole basically. I actually cut a hole, ran a twig through it all the way to the other side into another hole just like this one. Put some wire on it so it doesn't twist on them. And that was good to raise chicks in until they became adults and could intermingle with the adult chickens. Well, we lost them. Fortunately, the chicks were still in here, so we didn't lose the chicks. Then we had a rooster and he broke his foot. So we weren't even able to incubate any this last spring. We did buy a new rooster, but he wasn't old enough to mate with the chicks or the hens. Then this summer, when Carolyn's son stayed with us for a few months, he needed air conditioning. And I knew it was just going to be way too expensive to run air conditioning all the time off the generator. I started really looking into solar panels. What was wrong with my solar panels? I have, don't quote me, I don't even care. I'm just going to throw out numbers. It's mostly accurate. I have a 40 amp charge controller. Now what a charge controller does is it takes the energy from the solar panels, manipulates the energy, and puts it into the batteries. The problem is the charge controller was only giving me at max sometimes 30 amps. Well, I have 50 amps worth of solar panels at the time. Now I've got 60 amps, but I only had 50 amps, so I'm losing 20 amps, and it just wasn't keeping up with the air conditioner. So I started investigating what was wrong with the charge controller, and what it turned out to be is the charge controller believes that I have a 100 amp battery. And when you have a battery, you're only allowed to charge it to 25% of its capacity. So a 100 amp hour battery would require 25 amps of charge. So for example, my battery chargers have 3 settings: 2, 10, and 25 amps. Well, the thing is I have 800 amps of battery. The batteries are tied together. I got 8 of them. Actually, I have 775. So you can see I've tied them together. I've got negative to negative, negative. You can see they're all tied together, then positive, positive, positive. So when you add all the amps of that battery, you have a 12 volt battery with 775 amps. The reason is that all the batteries are 100 amps except this last one is 75 amps. Now for the new subscribers, you're just gonna have to go back and look. I know everybody's gonna say lithium ion batteries and all that. I'm a fan of lead acid. They work great for me, and I'm just not gonna get into that conversation. Although I'm sure that what has happened to me, that might be part of the problem, is that I am not helping the sales of lithium ion batteries. Never thought about that until just now. This is the charge controller right here. Well, actually this one is the one we had originally. So when I got 2 charge controllers, now each charge controller is producing 30 amps. Remember I said one of them was producing 30. So now I got another one, it's producing 30. So I put 6, I have 12 solar panels now. I bought 2 this past summer. So I added to it. So I have 6 solar panels on this one, 6 solar panels on this one, and they're both charge controllers are going into the same battery bank. So now I'm getting a total of 60 amps going into the batteries. I could get a lot more obviously, but I don't have that many solar panels, so I don't need more. So now I'm getting all the energy the solar panels can produce. And it has opened up our world immensely. Again, I just needed time to get everything tweaked into place. So now I can run the well. And that was my biggest concern, is if the grid goes down for some reason, although we don't hook up the grid, and many times the grid has went down around here, and we don't even know it. But if it went down for an extended period, several weeks, or as some people would say, SHTF, stuff hits the fan, I can run that well. The well is so critical. Right now we have a freezer, and right now the freezer is critical. So I have to keep these batteries in a state of charge good enough at the end of the day that it can get through the night to run that freezer. So I run the well in the daytime on sunny days, well, even cloudy days. I keep saying this. I've learned that I can run the well on cloudy days now and still get a charge enough to run the freezer at night. But I run the well anywhere from 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, depending on the time of the year, to about 2 o'clock. And then at 2 o'clock, I say, okay, no more large electrical loads. For example, Carolyn has been heating water through a coffee maker that we had. It came with the camper when we bought that big camper. So she heats that water up so we don't have to use propane to heat water up. So as long as she's doing it by 2, 3 o'clock, that's fine. It's 900 watts. And my well pump's 800 watts. So the coffee maker actually uses more than the well pump. It runs for 15 minutes. And within an hour, the batteries are already completely charged again. What happens is the charge controller can't react fast enough to these big heavy loads. So what it does is it allows the batteries to drain for a few minutes off these big heavy loads before the charge controller picks it up. The max charge you can put into a battery is 14.4 volts. So let's assume for a minute that your batteries are completely charged. They're at 14.4 volts. You turn on the well pump. They're still at 14.4 volts. You shut off the well pump. The charge controller doesn't have time to react to that being shut off, so then it overcharges your batteries. So instead of overcharging your batteries, it just lets the batteries deplete for a second before it starts picking up the load of the well pump. And then it takes a few minutes for the batteries to charge back up after you shut the well pump off. If something were to happen, what I would do is we'd just eat all the meat out of the freezer right away before we ran out of gas or the generators and all that, just in case it was cloudy for an extended period. And then I just shut off the freezer. I wouldn't have to worry about the freezer anymore. So that would leave us with the coffee maker to run to heat up hot water and to run the well pump. Easy to do because the well pump, typically I only run about 15 minutes a day because I fill that IBC tank. I have a 275 gallon IBC tank that I fill up. So 15 minutes filling that up, 15 minutes for hot water. We can run that coffee maker for a long period of time actually. The other day when we were canning some chicken, and you might want to go check those out sometime. Go to my channel, go to playlist, and you can go to my canning videos and I'll show you how to can all kinds of meats. That's all that's in there, how to can meat. Hamburger, chicken, pork, all of it. So here recently I've been talking about preppers. I don't agree with their philosophy of stockpiling. The first thing I don't agree with is their channel philosophy. Rarely do they actually talk about prepping anymore. A couple years ago, they did. Even though I didn't agree with their philosophy, at least they had a philosophy. And they would talk about stockpiling, and to me, living the life as though it was already SHTF makes you more prepared, even though I'm not a prepper. I've said that many times, than being a prepper. Well, in the last few years, they've completely changed their format to fear-mongering. And just the other day, I made a video where they were talking about this government shutdown. And listen to these preppers. They were talking about the end of the world, that the government was going to shut down, inflation was going to go up so high, and I debunked everything in it. Many of the commenters in the comment section agreed with me. That's all they know how to do is teach fear. Well, I made a critical video of one of these, well, actually a multitude of preppers, and I was talking about how they just don't have a plan. Well, one of the preppers, thank goodness, finally rebutted. I thought he was actually going to produce an argument that made sense to me, because I would like to have a debate with one of these guys. Here's the merits of my system, here's the merits of your system, and let the viewers decide which merit is better. So I'm listening, and I'm ready to make my rebuttal. I got my pen and my paper, and I'm going to write notes, and I'm going to go through it point by point. I was going to make a video, and the only thing he knew how to do was name call. He name called me through the whole thing. Oh, he pointed out a couple things that I'm not prepared for, like, you still use propane. Yeah, you're right, but if you'd watched any of my videos, you would know that I don't have to use propane. We can heat water with the coffee maker or over an open fire. We have 15 years worth of firewood, which I've talked about many times. Yes, you can have 15 years worth of firewood. So the latest and greatest fear-mongering thing I just found out is the government is supposed to send out a message tomorrow after the recording of this video. It's actually 2 days from this point, but when you get this video, it would be tomorrow. A warning message, a system alert message, I don't know what it is. And oh my goodness, they have went insane, the preppers, with their conspiracy theories. Apparently, if you got the thing, you're going to get a signal from this message. Of course, everybody's going to get it on their cell phones, and you're going to get a signal, and anybody got the thing will die. Oh my goodness, can you imagine how many people are just going to drop like that? I'm going to be a really busy person burying people. It's going to stink for a long time. I don't understand, and I said that in this video a couple days ago, I don't understand what the point of making you so fearful other than to get views. You know, my channel, you will see that daily videos don't do all that well, but you'll also notice if you go to my videos on my channel and you click highest to lowest, I have a ton of videos that get lots of views all the time. I think I got one that's up over 1 million views. That's pretty good for an off-grid channel that's only been doing it for 3 years. How these people can make people so afraid that Carolyn gets 10 or 15 messages a day from her Facebook friends list. Don't listen to the message alert system. You're gonna die if you had the thing, and it's just, there's no proof of this. It's complete conspiracy. They've been doing emergency service announcements like this ever since I was a little kid. I mean, it was always on Saturday, it seemed like to me. You're in the middle of watching Roadrunner. That was what's funny is one prepper said, I've had a cell phone for as long as they've been in existence, pretty much. I mean, pretty much. I had a little, well, first phone I had was a bag phone inside my pickup truck. It was what it was called, a bag phone. That was the early 90s I had that. Then I had a little flip phone. So I've had a cell phone for a very long time. And I don't ever remember people dying from cell phone usage. So if you'll click this up next box, it'll take you to that video where I was talking about this fear-mongering stuff. So if I can inspire you to don't live in fear, so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.